All right, welcome back to grammar, week 2 of unit 3. I hope you guys are learning a lot and practicing diagramming and just keeping it fresh in your brain. So today we have some review. First, we're going to talk about the 4 types of verbs. I know you guys know this, but it's really good to drill it into your head. So the first one is intransitive. And an intransitive verb is a verb that does not transfer any action. So it's like saying, cat, oh, I spelled my own name wrong. Cat watched. There's no action being transferred. The verb is just watched. Then there's going to be a transitive verb. Cat watched TV. Now, a transitive verb, this is going to be watched because we're transferring the action to the TV, which is our direct object, of course. All right, so then we have a linking verb, which is the type of verb that links the subject to the predicate. So, William is excited. Is our linking verb because it helps link the word excited to William. This is also the case for maybe something like William is a teacher. In this case, teachers are predicate noun, and is still linking William to teacher. William is teacher. So our next type of verb is a helping verb. This is a type of verb that helps another verb so that the sentence can make sense. So, she could bake a pie. Bake is going to be our verb transitive, and pie would be a direct object, and could is a helping verb because it helps the sentence make sense. It gives context for the sentence. Could is just another type of verb to help out bake. Alright, so next we have an interjection. And an interjection is a word or a group of words used as a sudden expression of feeling or emotion that is not grammatically connected to the sentence. So an example of this would be in the sentence, "Oh my goodness, I broke the window." So the main part of this sentence is, I broke the window. This is the sentence. But, oh my goodness is an interjection that explains sudden emotion, and it's not grammatically connected to the rest of this part of the sentence. Okay, so our first sentence for the day is, wow, I am amazed by your wisdom. So this sentence is going to be a little tricky, actually. You're going to have to really think about it. So we know, wow, that's going to be an interjection. We just learned about that. So it's a sudden expression of emotion, wow. Now here, the subject is going to be I. I, that's actually going to be a subject pronoun because it's a word that's replacing a noun. So I is doing the action here. So here, the verb is going to be am, and this verb is going to be a verb linking. Am is almost always going to be a linking verb. And so amaze is going to be a predicate adjective. This is because am is the connecting word between I and amazed. Amazed is describing I, and am is basically going to be this equal sign that displays a linking verb. So if you see the word am, it's almost always going to be a hint. This is a linking verb. Alright, so our next phrase is going to be by your wisdom. So this is also an unconventional phrase, by your wisdom. But when we see the word by, we know that that's going to be a prepositional phrase because by is a preposition, so wisdom is actually going to be our object of a preposition. Your is an adjective, a possessive adjective, modifying wisdom, saying whose wisdom? Your wisdom. All right, so we're going to diagram this. Remember, we diagram our interjections just separate from the sentence and above. Subject is I, and our verb is going to be am. Remember how we diagram a linking verb. This slanted line signifies that this word is pointing back to the subject. Then by your wisdom is just going to be a prepositional phrase underneath amazed, because it's amazed by what? By your wisdom. This is a declarative sentence, and it's a simple sentence because it's just one independent clause. Our second sentence says, ouch, I banged my head on the door. So this is going to be similar. Ouch is our interjection. I is going to be our subject pronoun, and the action here is banged. So that's going to be a verb transitive because it's transferring the action to what? Head. Ouch. My is going to be a possessive adjective. Whose head? My head. And on the door is, of course, a prepositional phrase. So on is our preposition, door is object of the preposition, and the is an article adjective. Okay, so let's diagram it. Our interjection goes here. Subject, I, is a pronoun. Then the verb is banged. What? Head. Whose head? My head. And then the prepositional phrase is actually modifying the verb because it's showing where this happened, on the door where the action was happening. So this is a declarative sentence. It's making a statement, and it is a simple sentence because it is one independent clause. I banged my head on the door. You almost want to think of the interjection, ouch, as completely separate from the normal grammatical structure. So even though there is this separate clause, ouch, an interjection doesn't really mess with the structure of the sentence, and it's still going to be a simple sentence. Okay, so our third sentence says the algebra test will begin and the students will be working. So we can already see that this is going to be a compound sentence because this is an independent clause and this is an independent clause. We can see that these are independent clauses because they stand alone. They both have a subject and a verb, and they both make sense by themselves. So the algebra test will begin. That makes sense? The students will be working. That also makes sense. They're both independent clauses connected by this conjunction here. So the subject of the first independent clause is going to be test. The test is what's beginning here. So that's a subject noun. And thus, begin is our verb intransitive. Will is going to be a helping verb in this situation because it's giving context to the rest of the sentence. It's the verb that's helping this all make sense. Algebra is actually going to be an adjective because it's modifying the word test. It's describing what type of test. It's not a history test, it's an algebra test. The is an article adjective. And of course, and is going to be our conjunction here. Then of this sentence, the subject is going to be students. Subject noun. Working is going to be the verb intransitive. And will be, this is a verb phrase that's going to be helping verbs. So these are both helping verbs here. It's just showing when they're going to be working, that it's in the future, they will be working. So it's helping verbs to help give context to the rest of the sentence. The is an article adjective. Okay, so I'm just going to diagram this like a normal compound sentence. Test is our subject. Will begin. Remember how we diagram a helping verb with an intransitive verb, just both on the same line. And then the is modifying test. And algebra is also modifying test. Don't forget to capitalize this because in the sentence up here, if it's capitalized, that means it's capitalized in the diagram. Then the second part of the compound sentence, these students. Students is our noun. And it's just diagrammed the exact same way. Will be working. The modifies students. Then we have to connect it with our conjunction, which is and. So the algebra test will begin and the students will be working. We know that this is a declarative sentence. It's a declaration or a statement, and it is, of course, a compound sentence because it's two independent clauses joined by a conjunction. So our fourth sentence is a short one. It says, she stood still. So we know that the subject here is going to be a pronoun, she. It's a word that takes the place of a noun. So just for some review, an example of a pronoun would be she equals Sally. So in this case, Sally would be the noun. It's her name. But she is a word that replaces the name, Sally. So we know that she is a pronoun. So this is the same for he equals Henry, or even they, which could mean Henry and Sally. So any one of these pronouns are just words that replace a regular name. Another example of a pronoun might even be it. So it meaning the bug. So that's just a quick review on pronouns. Sometimes it's good to get a refresh. Right, so the verb of our sentence is going to be stood. She stood. This is actually just going to be an intransitive verb. There's no action being transferred. So then we ask, what is this word, still? Well, this is describing how she stood. So we know that's a modifier. So it's modifying the word stood, asking how did she stand? She stood still. Thus, it's an adverb because this is a type of word that modifies a verb. So we're going to diagram. She is our subject, stood our verb intransitive, and then still is modifying the word stood. We know that this is what type of sentence? Declarative. And is this a simple or compound? Well, it's obviously going to be a simple sentence because there is just one independent clause, and that's a whole sentence. So that's it for the week. Good luck on your homework. You're going to do amazing. Sometimes it's actually helpful to go back and watch these videos if you ever need a refresher or to see how to diagram something that you might not be quite sure of in the homework. It's really nice to go back and have these. But you guys are going to do great.